Hey guys, what's going on? In this video I want to show you how you can create this beautiful countdown. So the idea is to be able to write your own custom code to create countdown of any event, right? So for this video we are using New Year. So basically we are counting down to New Year. So you have the number of days left. Basically you can create the countdown down to the last second. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to do that. So let's get started. So far, I have a folder called Countdown, and inside it, I have three files: index.html, index.js, and index.css. So we are going to start off with the HTML. I'm going to close off these guys. Yep. So close this off. So the first thing we are gonna do is to you know um, create the markup. So I start with an HTML boilerplate, and I just inside the title I'll do New Year, and then inside the body. So the way we're gonna structure it, if you look here, you see there is the general background, and there is the container that is holding the countdown, and then you have this section where we have the numbers. Okay, so the overall wrapper is going to be container. So we're going to call it container, and inside container we are going to have the countdown container. So we have a div with a class of countdown container, and then we are going to have inside here countdown container is basically this guy here, everything around here that has these shadows around it. And then inside it we have two things. One is the h1 that simply says countdown to New Year. So just copy this. So we have an h1, we'll drop this here. Okay, and then we'll have the number section. So basically you have a container called count down. Cool. Now inside countdown we have each of these units. So we have the days, the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. So each of them are going to be in their own separate div, right? And that div we're going to call it unit box. Okay, so unit box is going to have two things: the number and the unit, or the value and the unit. So both of them are going to be span element. So for the number I'll just put 00 for now. The class is going to be unit because we're going to have about 4 of it, so we can apply the same style. And then the second one is going to have a class of label. Okay, and then it's going to be days. That's for the first one. Then unit. Now we are not going to just have 0 here. We're going to use JavaScript and dynamically put the value here for the number of days left. So we're going to add an ID attribute that we are going to use to query the DOM for this particular element. So let's call this days. Okay, so we're just going to duplicate this unit box div in 3 more places. Okay, so this one is going to be hours, and it's going to be hours, and then we'll call this minutes, and it's going to be minutes, and then this is going to be seconds, and it's going to be seconds. Okay, And that's all we want to do for our markup. Our markup is done. So if we take a look at this, actually let's run it. So it's open with live server. Let's see. So now it says 0000. So we're going to put the values dynamically from our JavaScript. Okay, so let's move on to the CSS and make this look better. I mean, it doesn't look good. So I want to make it look like this. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, we open up our CSS file, and we can leave this open because we're going to have to refer to it from time to time. So we open our actually CSS, and first we need to bring this guy here. We need to bring this guy, so link, so you're gonna be .css. Actually this is styles. Sorry guys if you can hear that noise. So just a moment. Okay, so we have styles.css, and just to do a quick test to see that it's properly connected, just do a bg color, and then we do red. Okay, so our style is working properly. So we are gonna just, yeah, we're still gonna have a background, but it's not gonna be a background color. So for us to get this, the background is actually a gradient, so we're gonna use gradient on the body. So why don't we just do that now? So we do background, and then we do linear gradient, and then the linear gradient is basically going to take a couple of values. So the first is going to be the direction of the gradient. So do 135 degrees, basically starting at the bottom, basically starts at the bottom at the bottom right, at bottom left, sorry, and moves to the towards the top right. Okay, so as far as the color goes, we have a hex code. So let me get a hex code for the background color. So I think it's you know what, let's see if we can use our color picker. So let's try this. So RGB. Oh, actually, it's okay. That's for this one, and let's pick for this guy. I think they are basically the same. Okay, let's pick from here. Okay, let's try that. Not exactly the same. Okay, let's check that out. Okay, I think we can work with this. Okay, we can work with this. If you notice, you will see that there are some, you know, some linings. So basically we want to, you know, make it not to repeat. So but we can do background repeat, and then we say no repeat. Okay, so we have it that it's taking a portion of the screen. So we're going to apply more style to make it take the entire width of the screen size. So now the first thing, or the next thing we want to style is the container, and we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, we want to make it take the entire height of the viewport. So we say height, and then we say 100 viewport height, and then you see it takes the entire height of the viewport. And then the next thing, actually let me close this off. So the next thing we are going to do is we want to make it center. We want to bring all this to the center of the screen. So we say display, and then we say flex, and then we say justify content, we say center, and then align items, we say center. So what this will do is basically to center this container on the body, right? So it will center the content within the container. Now the only reason why we are getting it centered on the entire screen is because this guy here is taking the entire height of the screen. Okay. Yeah, so we are done with that. The next thing we want to do is to work on this card here, this card that has shadows around it, and that is what we gave the class of countdown container here. So actually this is countdown container, so we're going to copy this just so we don't make any mistakes. So first we want to give it a shadow. So you have this is not a border, this is a shadow. So we want to create this shadow effects, and the way we do that is with a CSS property called box shadow. Now box shadow takes a couple of things. First, it's going to take the horizontal offset, which we are not going to pass any value. Now the horizontal offset basically specifies the value it will cast the shadow by this amount to the right. So to the right of the element that we are styling. So for instance, if I set 20 pixels, or you know what, I'll just pass out the values and explain what each of them does. So this is the horizontal offset, 4 pixels for vertical offset, 5 pixels for the blur, and 4 pixels for the shadow size. And then finally we pass a color. So for the color we use RGB value. So basically we want a black color, so it will be RGB 0 0 0. But we also want it to have actually let's put an alpha value, so RGBA. I want it to have an opacity of 0.4. So you see the difference it makes. So we save that, and we'll save that also. And yeah, so we have this shadow. Now I was talking about what these different values mean. So this guy is the horizontal offset. If we put this at 50, basically it will create 50 is going to be too much, so we'll say 20. So it's going to create a shadow to the right of the container, as you can see. Okay, so if you want it on the left, all we just need to do is to add minus here. So that's the horizontal offset. Take it back to what it was. Now this is vertical offset. It will basically, this will cast the shadow to the bottom, as you can see. If you want it at the top, we'll put a minus here. Okay, so obviously this is not what we want. We want 4 pixels, not 40. And then this guy is for the blur, so it decides how sharp or how soft it is. So if we put this at 50, it's going to create a very, very, it's not sharp, it's very, very blurry. So we want it sharper, we can do 1 pixel. You see, it's a lot sharper. And what we want is 5. Okay, so then for this guy, the size of the shadow, basically how large the shadow is. So if we tweak this, you see we get a very, very large shadow, but we don't want that, obviously. We just want 4. And the color is the color of the shadow. So if I make this 50, I increase the red value. If I make it 200, I further increase the red value, makes it kind of more red. Remember, this is RGB. This is the red value, green value, and blue value. So, but what I want is 0, 0, 0. So it's all black with an opacity, just like that. Okay, I think this might be too much. Oh, actually, this one, let me make this 2 pixels. Yeah, let's leave it like this. Okay, so what I want to do next is to give this guy a padding of 30 pixels. Okay, so it creates more space, and I want to increase the size of this guy, so that would be inside the H1. Okay, before that, let me create this. You can see the edges are kind of curved, so we get that with border radius of 6 pixels, so it gives us that round edges. Okay, so it's gradually taking shape. Now I want to style this H1, so it's the only H1 there, so we can just say to select it by the tag name, and then we want to do a font size of 3.5 rem, and then we save that, so it's a lot bigger now. We want to also give it a color. Now we're going to pick the color from the original one, so we use our picker, our color picker. Just click on this, and then I pick that and I drop it here. Actually, I want to pick the hex value, not the RGBA value. Excuse me. Okay, so that's it. And if you're wondering how I do this, this is a Chrome extension called what is it called? Color Pick Eyedropper. So just install the Chrome extension and you'll be able to do exactly what I did. Okay, so yep, it has the color now. The next thing you want to do is to so we want to work on this guy now, and this is the guy that has a class of what's the class again? Countdown. So countdown, we basically want it to, let me pick this guy, so it says countdown. It's a class. So what we want is for it to, just align horizontally, not vertically the way it is right now. So we are going to apply a display property of flex around it, and then justify content is gonna be space around, and let's take a look. Cool, so we're already getting that effect, but also you will notice that it says 10, and then 10 is on top, days is at the bottom. So basically you have the number at the top and then the unit at the bottom. Okay, so let's do that. I mean, this one is they are in their own div, so basically we're going to be working on each of these div, but already we have class for that, so we are going to also style this. to create that vertical display of the number and the unit. So we also give this a display of flex, and then flex direction is going to be colon. Now we didn't have to specify flex direction here because row is the default, so we don't have to say that, but we want it to be different from the default, so we have to explicitly give it a value of colon. And let's see how it turns out. Cool, they're on top of each other, but I also want them to be centered, just like this one. Okay, so I want it to be directly at the center of this, so we'll just add align items, center, and justify items, center, and that's it. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is to style these guys and make them bigger. So what did we call? First of all, let's start with the unit. Yeah, let's do the unit, then we do the label. So I have a class called unit. Actually, I think we should call it value. Call this value, and we call this value. Okay, so class value, font size, let's make the font size 2 rem. Okay, I think I missed one. Yeah, this one. Okay, I think it's bigger on the original one. Was it 3 I made it? Okay, yeah, I think this looks better. And I want to make it bold, so do font weight, make it bold, actually bolder. Okay, and then the color is gonna be white, so the hex code for white is FFF. Okay, and then let's work on the label. So for the label just has a different color, so let's make it 2. We'll just make it bold, and then the color, well, I need to pick the color. Of course, this is label. We'll save that. This is too big, so let's make this 1.5. Okay, let's pick the color from here. Okay, I think this should still be 2. Okay, I think this one looks bigger. Maybe because of this guy. Okay, you know what? It's not a big difference. Let's just copy. Let's pick the color for this guy. We'll pick the hex code and close this off. So the color is gonna be this. We'll save it. Okay, so I think that does it for the UI. I think that does it. Yeah, that does it for the HTML. So maybe in the next video I'll start working at the functionality. Start with our JavaScript code to actually implement the functionality, but this is it. I mean, you can still tweak this if you want to, especially especially on these aspects. You can start to give this 1 pixel horizontal offset, just add a little shadow on the right. You can do that, just tweak it however you want, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. For some reason this seems to be bigger. I'm not exactly sure why. It might have to do with this guy. Maybe should make it 3.2. No, it's definitely 3.5. So we're gonna leave it like this, and then in the next video we'll start working on the JavaScript. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.